Yeah, I had if I could, had
Go ahead, Randy. Go ahead.
yeah, had a dream last night or early this morning, uh, which very interesting dream for me because this is the first time that I ever had a dream. Well, I met you, Duane. Uh, I was in kind of a restaurant area, and I walked in and I sat down at this a small table, and you walked past and sat down across from me, and uh, I had in my plate it was like two large pieces of bread, but I also had either another plate or some kind of container which had I didn't know what was in it, but I thought well it may have been some kind of beef dish or something. I didn't know, uh, but I asked you what you were eating, Dwayne, and you made some kind of joke about, well, I'm eating cookies, and I looked over and they did look kind of like cookies, but they weren't cookies, and I figured it was some kind of vegan dish or something. So I thought, well, I'm afraid I was kind of embarrassed to take out of that container what I had. I thought, well, it might be beef, and I was hoping it would be fish. It'd be a little bit better than since you were eating, like a vegan dish type of thing. But I assume you're basically a vegan or vegetarian. But anyway, um, also I noticed that I was not fully dressed. I had on, I was almost practically naked, but not quite. It looked like it was kind of like a speedo that I was wearing, which I've never wore one, but I was kind of embarrassed because I thought, everybody else is fully clothed, and here I am sitting here like this. So, and that's the dream.
Well, that's your experience. Yeah, thank you for sharing. Yes, and yeah, I used to wear speedos under my wetsuit because it does. Those things do apply. They're like called rash guards. We wear rash guards as surfers too, and there's a little warmth to it. But the original idea was a rash thing. But you're being almost undressed there as you're exposing yourself is what you're doing, and also it's understandable that you're a little shy and timid to do this, yeah, because it's a new experience, and it's like, excuse me, sharing the new you, you're exposing yourself. That's what it's shown, because clothes basically are identity. As kids, they don't like to wear clothes. And lots of times they just take off all their clothes. There's some kids that are just very adamant, when they're young, they go to the beach or something, they just take off all their clothes, their bathing suit, everything. They just want to run naked. And that's there's like they don't want any identity. And clothes really, it's just like when people get dressed up, the women get dressed up, they want to wear certain dresses, whatever, the men's suits, whatever. This identifies them. It's like the old saying, the clothes make the man, or the first appearance. See, this is how we are with the personal self. But you're, because what you're with us, you're exposing yourself. Yes, and basically the diet that I have is vegan, but the experience is not really about the diet. The food is more like ideas, is what it is. These are things that you're eating. These are ideas that you're eating. Sometimes it applies to that. You look at the experience and you decide from that. Certain things are shown to you, etc. And the cookie idea, I would say that, it's what are cookies to kids? Those are fun things to eat. Kids don't want to eat asparagus and broccoli and things like that. It's like, oh, I don't like broccoli. It's like, they don't want to eat those things. They want to eat cookies because those are fun things. You see, so those are fun ideas. That's how I see it. But it's your experience. And the bread thing is interesting too. The bread thing is just like the Jesus idea where he broke the bread, etc. Again, in that story, it's not that Jesus took a piece of bread and broke it and multiplied it. The basic idea is that he shared an idea that multiplied amongst people, you see? And that's what we're doing. Yeah. We're sharing, our created ideas amongst people. You see, it spreads. And that's really the idea. A lot of those experiences are symbols, is what they are. Not just magic, creating magic, etc. And so you have to ask the question, is the bread that Jesus shared, if it was really bread, is it gluten-free? So again, there's a lot of questions that have to be answered. But anyhow, your experience is wonderful. Yes, it's very simple. So, and the restaurant applies because again, you're being served, you see? You're in the restaurant and people are serving you. So as you step up and expose yourself like you're doing, all of a sudden you're being served. And I remember one of the experiences real fast that I had with Ava when she stepped up and she wrote that letter, especially why I quit Eckankar. I remember that really resounded. I was like a waiter in a restaurant in this scene. Okay, so we play all these different roles. And I was like the waiter, and she walks in just kind of straight, She doesn't even look at me or whatever. We're basically the only ones in the restaurant. I'm just kind of looking at her. I'm to her right at a 90-degree angle, and I see her, and she's looking straight ahead. All right, she's just like almost like a soldier. And then I hear this applause in the background to the left. I don't see anybody, but I hear a whole bunch of people applauding. And so that was basically the experience because during that day, she had written out this letter with a previous fellow that was here, a Canadian, in the best English that she could. And she shared it with me. She shared it with me, and she sent it to me in email or whatever, or Skype, and she said, "Is this okay?" And I looked at it. It was all kind of funny English or whatever, and I don't want to change it. I don't want to edit it. It was her writing, and it was precious. So I said, "No, it's all fine." But in there was a part where she could only use certain words, and she described the corporation, how she like eliminated the corporation. It was kind of funny how she said it, but I left it in there. I didn't say anything, So, and that very next day, so then that night I had that experience, and that very next day, and I didn't know Ava was going to do this. She didn't tell me. So she puts it on the, the internet and Facebook and everything like that. And see, in the experience, the boys, the real guides, were applauding her for stepping up and having the courage to do it. Letting things know. It's like why I quit Eckankar, and she explained how she'd been in there for years, and then all of a sudden she found the new you, and she sees what's going on, and they were applauding her is what they were doing. And it kind of surprised me because, and it was in a restaurant style setting. Again, I was like the waiter, and I was just looking at her, but she surprised me the next day because I didn't know. She didn't tell me that she was going to put it on the internet. I thought she was just sharing it with me and that was it, or she was going to send it in, but no, she put it all over. So that's a classic. So yeah, your experience there is just that young man, and yes, it's the personal self. It's a little unnerving at times. I remember when I first went out there in the public, all by myself in the 70s, early 70s I started, and I was very nervous when I was presenting this, etc. Because again, you get through it, but it shows you're exposing yourself. You're doing it. You're taking the risk. Yeah. Who else is wearing a swimming suit, a Speedo, in the restaurant, right? You are. Yeah. So they're going to think you're nuts, but realistically, you're standing real. You're sharing something real. That's all that matters. Yeah. Go ahead. Was there anything else?
He's not at the keyboard right now.
Oh, okay. Is he on mute?
He's away.
Oh, he's away. Okay. You can tell? Okay. All right. Your psychic powers go everywhere, don't they? Yeah.
He's just written in here.
Oh, okay. Oh, he's telling you. All right. All right. You're getting messages. All right.
I got a little thing to share, if I may, here. I was about to save it for next Friday, but it's cool to share it here because we have time. Some experiences from New Mehdi, our new friend there in Facebook, and as you know, he's actually kind of doing great and creating all those flags of new, and he's very creative. And these experiences, he actually he has had during a while. He's been shown. He's actually confronted himself, and it's cool to know about that. He was really brave to share it like this with me. But yeah, in the first experience, he said that I was on the real side. I was hearing. It's been a while that on the real side I'm hearing a woman's voice, and I don't know what is this woman. I mean, who is she, and where in my awareness she's just calling me, and who really is she? And like Duane says that she kind of knows all aspects and all angles of my life, and she's somewhere in my awareness and calling me. And with some time, and you will figure out who she is when I share the rest of the experience here. And some at some night on the real side, I had this experience of going from through different alleys and lanes and in a city, and finally I entered into a wooden house. And then all of a sudden, Laitsi was there, and then I saw myself. I was sleeping on a bed, and Laitsi was standing above me. I mean, on top of the above side of the bed, and actually was moving his hands with a certain distance from my body. He was moving his hands over my body, and all of a sudden I saw that a creature, an entity, like a lizard entity, but it was female and with naked upside of the body. It just was totally in green. And she just jumped out of my body when he was doing that, and then she was jumping here and there very fast, and going to the longitudinally and across the room, whatever, just very fast. She was just moving up and down. Then I was a little bit scared, and I faced to Lacey and said, right there, he said that she was within you. And he's actually very intuitive with me. When he shares these experiences with me, he also relates to what I do always and what I share, because it's been a while that on one of the applications on my phone, I always put like, just kids, new kids, or for example, the light images and things like this. But that specific day, the next day, I don't know why I just something said that I just put Lightsey's image on my profile on that application. We always talk to each other in that application, me and Mehdi. So exactly the next day in the morning, he just opened the application, saw my profile and Lightsey on that. And he was kind of shocked because the previous night he had that experience with Lightsey. So yeah, there are some more, but maybe you want to say something about this one.
Yeah, that's very fun. Actually, it gives me a very interesting idea. It's always fun as things show up, and I will start to create this. This can be fun. But anyhow, what he's doing with his hands is he's feeling the aura of the individual. Okay, And the boys can do whatever, all right? They're like doctors, okay? They really are. See, they're like doctors. And this is what we become. We become like doctors. We'll use that idea. And so, yeah, I was, when you, as soon as you said that and he was moving his hands, see, he's not doing magic, okay? He's not creating miracles. There's a difference, okay? He's not manipulating the situation or changing it. He's simply like a doctor, like if you got shot or if you had something or, whatever, an infection, whatever. See, he's removing it is what he's doing. See? Because that is, past agreement. That's all he's doing. He's removing that. And so this is what the boys do. And this is where, people are not aware. They do not see what's in their aura field. They do not see what they've agreed to and accepted. It's huge because, again, look at your personal self. So this is really a cool experience. Yeah, and it's very good to understand this. I'll probably create a group on this from this experience, etc. And define this better because, see, people look for miracles. There is a difference, all right? That's where you're manipulating things. And it's actually a type of control, even though it's the white magician, black magician idea. It sounds good, but it's not because it's still manipulation is what it is. It's just like the government tells us, we know what's best for you. We're your friend. We know what's best for you. That's manipulation. And so that's where Jesus got himself in trouble. And most people don't realize because he was doing psychic miracles also. There is a difference. So that's where he got himself in trouble with the Lords of Karma. Because he learned these tricks through the mystery schools. And this is what usually people learn at first. Rebazar learned a lot of these things too. All of them do, but they surpass that. They go past that. You need to learn what not to do also. But here's Lacy. He sees what's in the aura. He's feeling it. And just like, it's almost like, in a pond where you dropped your keys and you're kind of, moving your hand around to find, it's like, oh, there it is. Okay, there it is. Because, in this aura field, this creature is moving around too. So it's almost like sometimes trying to catch a fish, you see. It's just like that, where you stick your hand in a fishbowl and you try to catch one of those little goldfish. We've all done something like that. And so this is really cool. So he's removing this thing. So it's a step at a time, and it's a step at a time for the individual as they step up, again, as they earn their way and become more aware that these things are relieved. This is what's really cool about the real guides, is because they can, they know what to do. They're the, they're the experts at, they can see these things and they can remove them from the individual, but they're not going to, for the most part, they're not going to touch them because they just don't come and just start removing things from people, because a lot of people are very attached to these things. Even the most awful things you see, like heavy metal music and people worshiping satanic things. Hey, that's a choice they make. They're not going to come and change them. Not going to change the world. You see, this is where the world does not see itself. It's not about changing things because people are agreeing to this. And if you take everything away, it's like, then they get upset. They don't want it, but at the same time they get upset. It's like, hey, you did this and you did that. See, now that starts another situation. So, yeah, they don't do that. And it's interesting. I'm going to just throw this in real fast. In the United States, as an example, and it's I'm sure it's in many countries. The people in the United States look at the deficit and things like this, which is all fake. Okay, because again, we know that whoever creates the money, if they create the money, how can they also have debt? So they can create as much as they want. So how can there be debt? So this is just a psychological jerk off. So so you have people that complain to the government, hey, you're spending too much money, we want to cut programs and whatever. Well, when they start cutting the programs, people are thinking, oh, yeah, let's cut all these other programs, but let's not cut my program, okay? But then that becomes an issue too, you see. In other words, yes, people want relief in some way, so-called relief, but at the same time, it's like, well, yeah, do it to the next guy, but don't do it to me because I want to hang on to my attachments. And so the boys also see that, when the person is ready, that they can be relieved of it, because many of these things, they're very, like the God idea or anything, or whatever it is. If they're a fan of a movie star or whatever, and they have a tap line with that, because all the fans that are out there, same thing, they're tap lined. The reptilians love that word when people are fans of movie stars. It's all emotional stuff, so they're tap line. So they're not going to just remove that thing, okay, from people, because that's, they're in agreement with that. They want it. And so, but this experience here is very good, Hesam. Yes, thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, what was really cool for him was that in this experience was that he understood that what was that woman, for a while, just whispering in his experiences, but finally,
And that was the idea, was it was the reptilian,
like the influence or a
right,
female reptilian thing, yeah, in his aura.
Mm-hmm. Yes, because you see, he, in some way, he let it in consciously or unconsciously. In other words, he's agreed to something somewhere. See, this is where people do not live now. They are always floating with ideas all over the place, and they're not paying attention to what they're looking at or agreeing or whatever. So you can have a conversation with somebody. They could be telling you words. You can even be sitting at a table with a lawyer, and you're on the cell phone, and then all of a sudden also dreaming, on the cell phone doing another business deal, and also dreaming about the vacation that you want to go on because you want to leave all this stuff behind. So the lawyer's explaining things to you, and you're just going, yeah, 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 okay, and the lawyer says, sign here. Well, you just signed. You don't read the contract. You just signed. See, you just made an agreement, and then later on you read the contract, and it's like, hey, I didn't agree to this. Well, yes, you did. You signed it, but you weren't paying attention. You see? So now you got to deal with it. So this is where you start paying attention, or you don't.